So at the end of the day, it's kind of occurred to me that everything's for sale. Everything is sales. It's just a matter of approach at the end of the day and what currency. Because this is where so many people get mixed up. And this is where so many people have a hard time when they get caught up in identity. They get caught up in titles. They get caught up in permission of this is where I trade. This is what it is. Right? So we've been trained as humans for so long and such a long time in this overall system that this is the way this is or this is the way that is, that it's hard for us to really, kind of break outside of that. And when I say everybody has a price, of course, we all have a price. And if you really, really understand that, you have to understand what your price is, what you're willing to do. And that ultimately comes down to the trade of time. Is this worth my time? And what am I going to do in that time? And then people would argue, well, I don't have a choice. You always have a choice on how you deal with a particular circumstance. This coming from a girl who spent her life abused, right? So we make our choices. We don't choose our circumstances when we're brought into this world. That's the part that's all. Like, we're all in the same boat that way. I remember when I was a teenager, I said, okay, I'm going to, set my goals. And I was very adamant on goals, right? Like this is the next step, the next step, the next step. When I was a teen, when I was younger, it was dreams. When I was a teen, I went into more of this is the goals. But I'm easily bored. So I made, literally I went to the dollar store and I made a board game. I made my own board game with goals. And I said, okay, well, I'm going to move these pieces forward as I achieve my goals. And I can't get the next thing until I achieve that. So I made each one spaces and I colored it and I made it artistic. And I spent so much fucking time making this goal board that I did nothing with it. Because my ADD, while I didn't follow through with the goals, right? I ended up later in life circling back around. I look at the board. I achieved everything really that I wanted to on the board, but not the way of following my own path, right? Because it occurred to me as I look back at my life in the study of PTSD and how it relates to trauma and people and, the mind and how old our brain is and our heritage and how we relate to each other as humans and how humans relate to the planet and the planet to really the universe and what that means in our teaching. It kind of occurred to me with this PTSD thing that I was on to something, but it was obvious that everything was all over the place. I was like, okay, this is not an efficient system. I had already discovered that the system was fucked when, I discovering doctors and people making up lies in my chart and nothing was working. Nothing was making sense. I was like, okay, this has to be a prank or a joke because there's no way people that are supposed to be this intelligent cannot see through what's actually happening here or not taking me seriously because I'm a woman or not taking me seriously or this situation when I'm really trying to protect my child or any of these things. I was like, this just doesn't make sense. This isn't adding up. But I go back to it's the approach. So we all can be sold. And we've all been sold. We've all been told for, whatever circumstance we've been born into, whether it be our country that has brainwashed us into saying you have to do this for your country. But when you actually look at the bigger scheme, like the bigger picture, what does that get you? And like traditionally too, look at how much damage PTSD has done to this world and this broken system. Okay, so we've been brainwashed that, you're a soldier, you're doing right by your country by going and grabbing a gun and hurting another human because they're the enemy. You're killing innocent people for your country. You're coming back to your country. You're given maybe a medal, maybe not, depending on what your circumstance were. But, you're a veteran, you're recognized. But the truth is, you're tossed aside. And if you don't have love and support from that core family or your the reason you maybe enlisted in the army in the first place, or you did whatever you were, depending on that core family that you had and those beliefs before you went to war, when you come back, you're going to be dealing with a different set of circumstances. That's why you see soldiers on two sides, right? With this PTSD thing, you have the ones on the one side who have gone, they didn't have the love support, didn't come from a healthy family and everything. Then they turn to drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever, addictions, fall apart. Good job, country. And it doesn't matter what country. I'm looking at America because it's easier to see because of the United States, the different cultures that are supposed to be mixed in and working together, which clearly aren't. However, that because of this whole thing and going to the Middle East and this war that was going on for so long, that was so disgusting and disgusting because Americans weren't seeing that, you're terrorists. This war on terrorism and you're the terrorists. And it's like, you don't recognize that, what you're doing to people. And I get cut off on a good speech. I have to come back. I was on a rant about something important. Well, it wasn't a rant, actually. It was a good talk. Obviously against America because I was fucking pissed off, right? Who's that? Right? Everybody. Everybody that's not American. Because let's say the whole establishment, right? So we're going back to the PTSD thing. I'm not fucking finishing with this. We're not done with this conversation because the reality is so much of this injustice is because everybody's been ruling on fear, really. And you have to break away from seeing that. Religion is ruling on fear. God says you can't do that. God says you can't be a homosexual. God says you can't change your gender. That's a fucking lie that humans made up. Okay, let's get rid of that. Okay, we have to do this for our country. You gotta get a gun in your hand and you're gonna go shoot somebody. You're gonna go fucking shoot innocent children and bomb them. But it's okay because you're doing it for your country, so we're gonna give you a fucking medal. Absolutely not. There is no respect and honor in that. I'm sorry, I'm fucking taking it away from every country. Every goddamn country should be so fucking ashamed of themselves for giving medals to people that are killing other people. Every country. Every army. All of you should be so fucking ashamed of yourselves because you look and you sit in judgment of another race, another culture. Because you believe somehow that's tied to religion and God, which is so fucking inaccurate. So fucking inaccurate. This planet is dying because of the narcissistic fucking ways humans have been for far too long, because they have made up bullshit lies in religion and bullshit lies in country. And that's the system. And it has absolutely failed. And it has done nobody any fucking good. So the only option is to rise above that, learn where it came from, and actually understand what the fuck PTSD is, because guess what? We all have it. Every single one of us has PTSD. There is some traumatic event that has happened in your life at some point. And I'm not measuring whose was worse or whose wasn't. Because it's clear it's all been fucked. That's why I don't sit and cry victim over all the fucking abuse that I've had to take in at all. I used to feel ashamed of the abuse that I went through. I used to feel ashamed of my incestuous fucking disgusting family. I did. And now I'm going, you know what? I'm no fucking different than the majority of the population. And that's why I need to speak about it. Because we're all fucking trying to keep everybody else's secrets. And that's why we're mentally ill. Because we've been keeping their secrets. Letting them mindfuck us. This is only a battle against narcissists. And only the strongest ones who can rise above the goddamn country. Rise above the goddamn fucking religion. And all this lying bullshit. To understand how it pieces together. That's a genius. That's EQ. IQ will get you the shit. We'll get you the inventions. We'll put you in the academic shit. We'll figure out stuff. But it's fucking useless. You can see even with my friends, father's a lawyer and only looks at money because he's a useless twit. His idea of success is climbing the corporate ladder, is having a certain amount of money in the bank. That's ego. That's weak. That's fucking weak. And it's against God. It's against God. Your armies are against God. The purpose of war is peace. But in World War III, anyone who picked up a weapon is a loser.